welcome to the Castle Handmade Crochet podcast. It's been probably about 2 months since I've recorded and posted a video, so sorry about the delay. I was trying to post more regularly, but things just got in the way. So thank you if you've watched before, and welcome if you're watching for the first time. This is a little time where I chat and show you all the things that I've been working on that are crochet related. So there are the things that I'm currently making, also the things that I'm designing, or the classes that I'm teaching. So if you're joining for the first time, my name's Liz and I'm coming to you from the Southern Highlands of New South Wales in Australia. So again, welcome, and you'll notice that I'm very nervous again. Hopefully I relax a little again and don't feel so nervous and don't appear to be nervous either, but we'll see. I have so much to show you today because like I said, it's been about 2 months since the last podcast, so I've made a lot of things. Yeah, there's just a lot to show you. So grab a cup of tea or coffee or a cool drink if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, and join me as I talk about all things crochet. Okay, now first up, a finished project. Oh, I'll start with what I'm wearing. This is a finished project. Ta-da! So this is the Faraway sweater by Iron Lamb, and I'll leave the links below to anything that I'm speaking about. I'll leave the links to the patterns and then also the links to the yarns that I've used. So this is my first time making a jumper or a sweater. I've created it as more of a cropped style so that I can wear it with a dress, and I'm really happy with the fit actually. I started to wonder whether the sleeves are a bit short, but I actually quite like it the length that they are. I really enjoyed making this jumper. So it's a circular yoke with, hopefully you can see it okay here, with this sort of design around here. And then it's granny clusters for the rest of it, and a really nice ribbing. I'll put some photos in as well at the end so you can see the finished item in the photos rather than just me wearing it. I used Millpost Merino, which is a 4-ply Australian merino yarn grown about 2 hours away from here, down at Bungendore. So the sheep farm's down there, and I stock some of their wool, and it is beautiful to wear. This is my first day wearing it, but I'm in love with it already. Really pleased with this one. It was a fun project to work up. It didn't really take me that long. I just had put it on hold while I worked on some other designs and things. So the pattern was well written. I altered the sizing a fair bit because I wanted to make sure it was a good fit. So I kept doing a few rows, trying it on, reworking it. So I don't even know what size I ended up using for this pattern. I think I went with the larger size, I think large, for the yoke, and then when it got to the bust and underarm, I did my own increasing just to make it a little, just to make it fit a bit better around the bust, and then brought it in again at the waist. So yeah, I did do a fair bit of altering, but it was a pattern that was quite easy to alter, so that was really good, and I'm really pleased with it. So that's my first finished item. So you would have seen that half made if you watched the podcast before. Yeah, so it's nice to have it all done, and it's winter here, so perfect timing. We've still got a few months of cold weather ahead of us, so I'm sure I'll get a lot of use out of it. The second finished item is this one, which you might have already seen as well. This is the Thatcher Hat, and it's a beautiful basket weave pattern. Hopefully you can see that okay. It's a basket weave pattern, and this is by Deanne from Adelaide Designs. So I've used her pattern. The yarn I've used for this is a 4-ply sock weight yarn, and I've held it double with a lace weight mohair. So holding it 2-stranded makes it just have this beautiful feel, so soft, and it gets that fuzzy mohair halo which yeah, is really lovely. And I've been wearing this one. It is a shop sample that I'm keeping in here to show everybody as well, but I have been wearing it and it is super warm and cozy. I especially love this double, the doubled rib, not rib, sorry, the edging, what am I going to call that? The brim or cuff of the beanie is doubled over, and it makes it really warm and cozy to wear, so it sits over my ears and keeps me nice and warm. So that one, yeah, was lots of fun. I think last time I might have just been up to the finishing touches. So I finished it off and I popped a beanie on top. And then we have a pom-pom on top, sorry, and then we have the finished beanie. Now, that probably leads me on to the next thing I want to show you, and that's to do with working with mohair. So I've just had another pattern, actually 2 patterns, published in the latest issue of Homespun Crochet, which is an Australian magazine. Now I've had 2 patterns published in this one and an article about mohair. So let me first of all show you the 2 patterns that I've created for that magazine, and then I'll show you the article as well. So the 2 patterns are, firstly, it's a matching set. It's a beautiful cowl in this really lovely like rust colour, and you might be able to see the fuzziness of it. So I've created, this is called the Frosted Leaves Crochet Cowl, and this has been made by holding 2 strands of yarn together. It is a lace weight mohair held with a 8-ply or DK weight yarn. And then I've made a matching pair of fingerless mittens with the same simple cable design on there. So I'll pop the mittens on so that you can see what they look like. So there's the mitten. Hopefully you can see that okay. It's got quite a chunky rib on the edge, and then it's got the simple cable design there, and then this is just a crochet cowl with the same design. So both of these patterns are in issue 3 of Homespun Crochet, and I'll show you them here. I even marked the page, that's how organised I am today. So there's, hopefully you can see that okay. I'll pop up some photos at the end again so that you can see that as well, just in case holding it up hasn't done it. Hasn't been very good. Okay, and there's the second pattern, which is the mittens. And for the very first time, I have an article in here. So this one is called The Magic of Mohair, Dispelling Its Myths, and that's by Elizabeth Castle. So I've written just a little article about mohair, where it comes from, when it's great to use it, and how you go about using it double-stranded, which is the way in which I like to use it. As you can see, my latest pattern has held it that way and worked double-stranded like that, and then this beanie that I made was also held double-stranded as well. Now you would have noticed that I mentioned that I did this simple cable design for these mittens and the cowl. I'm actually running classes this month here in my studio for cable stitches, showing and teaching people how to do crochet cables. You would have, if you've watched my podcast before, you would have seen that I made a really cute little baby beanie that had a cable design and also some matching socks. And I've just remade that same beanie pattern, but I've created it in the adult size. And this one's called, I think this is called the Finley cable hat. I'll have to put the link down below. I think that's what it was called. And that's by the designer called Lakeside Loops. She has some beautiful cable patterns if you're looking for them. So I just finished that one last night actually. I'm really happy with the colour of it and the look and feel. It's a beautiful cable. It's a bit of a tricky one, so probably not the first cable design you should try, but it's beautifully made, like beautifully written, and looks really great. So again, I'll leave the links below to that one. I've just used an 8-ply or DK weight Australian wool for this. I think all up for this adult size beanie I used about, it was less than 150 grams because it was less than 3 balls. So maybe something like 130 grams of the wool that I used to make this one. And it's got a really nice thick and soft feel. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. I was actually a bit disappointed that this one actually finished. Just one of those things where you're really enjoying the project and then all of a sudden you're finished because you're enjoying it so much, you're working on it so much. But I spent, the boys have been going to a couple of extra swimming lessons because we're on school holidays at the moment. And so I actually spent a fair bit of the time while they were in their swimming lessons crocheting away on this beanie. And now that it's finished, I feel like I need to put another one on my hook because this was lots of fun. Yeah, so that's another finished item. And what next? Let me have a drink because again, I'm rushing through and speaking too quickly. Oh, if you're wondering so that's the 8-ply estate that I sell, and that's in the colour hazelnut. It's a really beautiful tone. I've gotten into the earthy sort of colours recently. This colour that I used for this, the mittens and the cowl set, is actually I think this one's called terracotta. So it's a bit of a brighter orange than the hazelnut, but they're both the same yarns. It's just that I've held this one with a mohair, so that's given it the fuzzier look. Yeah. Okay. That brings me to my next finished make. I told you there were a lot of things today, and they're all really warm and cozy, wintry makes. This is a infinity scarf that I made, and it probably took me just a couple of hours to make it. I recently got in my shop a new yarn, and it is really, really beautiful to use. It's 100% merino, Australian merino wool, and it's in a really nice, thick, bulky ply. It's probably around 15 to 16 ply, so classified as a bulky weight yarn. This is it here in the skein. That's just in the plain ecru colour. The colour that I used for this is called Poppet, and I think I wrote on an Instagram post that it reminded me of fairy floss, not just the colour but also just the feel of it as I was working with it. So yeah, so those who are in Australia know it as fairy floss. In other countries, I think you call it candy floss. So it's that soft and pillowy, like edible sugary treat. And that's what this reminded me of. But it's super warm, super soft, and it just worked up really quickly. This was a free pattern that I found online, and I cannot remember the name of the crochet designer, I'm sorry. But I will put the link below. What I really liked was that it was worked in short rows. So it's been worked short rows, and then I just kept working until I ran out of the yarn. So I used 2 skeins, 200 gram skeins, and they're only 75 meters each. So all up, 150 meters of yarn, 200 grams, and I created this really soft and cozy infinity scarf. But working it in the short rows meant that I just kept working it until the yarn ran out, and it ended up being the perfect size to wrap around your neck twice. And a really nice, quick, easy make. This yarn's been selling really well actually, especially for people that just want some quick and easy makes and don't want to spend a lot of time working on it, or yeah, just after the finished item and aren't so much into the process of making. So that's been a really good one for them. Also been great for beginners because it is a quick project and the yarn's really easy to work with and flows on your hook well. It's great for beginners as well. So yeah, I'll pop the links again for this below because it was a really simple pattern to work on, and it would work with lots of different yarns as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be that really chunky yarn for this pattern to work up nicely. Okay, that's another finished project. And now I might show you a couple more patterns that I've worked on recently and haven't had a chance to show you. So there's actually a couple sitting behind me. There's this scarf here, which is called the Plaid and Simple Scarf. And I actually had this one published in the Australian Homespun magazine. So this is a scarf that's made using the technique of tapestry crochet. So you hold two colours alongside each other, and then you work your stitches dropping the colour that you're not using and picking up the other colour to create your stitches all along the row. So you can create some really lovely effects using tapestry crochet. If you've watched my podcast before, you would have seen, I think it was called the Winter Forest Cushion. I could be wrong, but it looks like a snowflake. I used tapestry crochet to create that. But this one here is my own design, and I'm really proud of this one. It's a beautiful large scarf, and it's got this plaid pattern on it. Yeah, really proud of this one. I've had lots of fun designing it. It's a really lovely make. If you are not in Australia, so you can't pick up this magazine, I will be able to release this as an online pattern, but not until, not for another 12 months. I've got a contract that says it stays published in this magazine for that long, and then I can independently pop it up for sale. So if you want to give it a try yourself and you can't get a hold of this magazine, then just wait till next year and I'll be able to release it then. And then I also released another pattern. So it's been I told you it was a very busy couple of months. Now this one, hopefully you could see that in there, but it's heavy because I just filled it up with tea. It is my Royal Crown teapot cozy. Now, those of you in England, or actually everyone around the world probably knows, but the Queen just celebrated her Platinum Jubilee. And there were a lot of celebrations going on around the world, especially in England. And I had the idea of creating this little tea cozy that looked like the Royal Crown. And so it was a perfect time to release that. So that one's up on Ravelry, and it's available for you to purchase if you feel like celebrating a little more with the Queen's little crown tea cozy. So that was a bit of fun. Oh, now I think I've rushed through that, and and so you've seen everything that I've made recently, lots of new patterns. What do I also talk about? Oh, I usually talk about what I'm working on now or next. Now I wanted to finish off the few things that I had going, because now I need to focus on a blanket. If you've watched before, you would have seen that I started on some mosaic squares, and I was putting together or going to make a blanket for my son's 10th birthday. When I first started making the squares and looking at the colours and things, I had lots and lots of time to make it. His birthday is now just over a month away, and I have still only got about 4 squares made. So that is going to be my focus for the next few weeks at least. I'm trying to get as many of those squares done as I can, and then hopefully I'll have something to put together and gift him for his 10th birthday. Actually I remembered to bring them over with me, so that worked out well. So just so you know what I'm talking about, it's these squares here. I'll put the link again below, but they are called the Saga squares, and they're made using a technique known as Mosaic crochet. So I need to make lots of those because I'd like to make him a blanket that's probably the size of a single bed, when he was born, I made a crochet blanket for him that was granny squares. And that was my very first crochet project, very first crochet blanket. And he sleeps with that every night. So that is now officially 10 years old. A Facebook memory came up only yesterday, and it was me putting up my first crochet project. So 10 years, and now crochet is what I do 24 hours a day, pretty much. So what started out as just a little hobby and something to do while I was nesting and pregnant with Cameron has now turned into a full-time career, which is a really fun little story. But it's also nice to see how far I've come in regards to what I'm making and now designing and teaching. So yeah, I thought this would be a really cool little thing to make. And Cameron really loves his other blanket. And he's really excited about seeing this one get put together. So that is my focus. So hopefully next time I record a podcast, I'll be able to show you more of these squares. Hopefully some of them joined together or almost a full blanket. So that is my focus on and what I want to work on for the rest of the time. I have no other projects in mind to begin. I really just want to work on that. I don't have, so far all the patterns that have been commissioned from other magazines and things, I've finished submitting those for a little while. I do have a couple more commissions coming up, but nothing that I have to work on in the next few weeks. So yeah, a few things going on in the business in regards to new classes and events and things that I'm hosting. But pattern designs are on hold for a little while. So I can just focus on the process of making and teaching the classes, which is a nice little break. It's kind of hard to juggle the whole lot, but that's what keeps me happy and keeps me going. So hopefully you've enjoyed this podcast and I haven't rushed through too many things. I will put, like I said, all the links to the patterns and the yarns that I've used. I'll put them all below in the little box below with all the information. I'll also put some photos here at the end showing you some of these finished makes, and so you can see them in full and on the mannequins and things. And yeah, if you have any questions about anything I've spoken about or want a little bit more information about the projects I've worked on, then just send me an email or pop it in the comments below and I'll hopefully be able to answer the questions for you. And as you know, I love hearing about what you're making. It's always a good excuse when I see somebody say, hey, I'm making this pattern. It's a great excuse for me to go searching for it and having a look at what you're making, which is really enjoyable. It might give me some ideas for my next projects. It also gives other people some great ideas. What I really love about this little crochet community that I've sort of developed here is that everyone just loves sharing what they've found, what they're working on, and it's a great little creative community, and it's wonderful with all the sharing that goes on. So yeah, we always love to hear about what you're working on or what you'd like to work on. So I hope you've enjoyed this podcast and I will chat to you again soon. Bye-bye.